Welcome back to the weekly yarns. For those of you new, my name's Barry. Right, well, what are we getting done this week? Not a lot because of the weather. We're in the grip of this Arctic front, aren't we? That's right down over Europe at the moment. And we're doing temperatures of -8 and -9s. So as you can imagine, it's not very pleasant working outside with metal at the minute. So, Tuesday, I think on Tuesday it was like today. It was a lovely clear blue sky but very cold. I did manage to get the gearbox out and fiddle with the backlash and the diff cage play. I don't want to say too much at this stage because we've got that on video and it'll be coming out in the video of putting the gearbox back into the tractor. I think the Wednesday again, it was a day like this, was lovely blue skies but freezing cold, and in the afternoon I got the gearbox out, hung it up on the engine crane and washed it down with diesel. There's quite a bit of surface rust on bits and pieces in there. I'm going to have another look at it because it might be that gearbox literally comes to a million bits and gets wire brushed, sorted out. The bearings are good in it. I've had a look at the bearings. So it might be time to take it to bits, give it a really good clean and put it back together. We'll give it a couple of days thought because the weather at the minute is not likely to change, I think, until middle of next week, middle Tuesday, Wednesday next week. So we've got plenty of time. That's not going anywhere fast. What else has happened this week then? Well, parts turned up from Barclay Williams were spring and were pin. The spring part number K624922 and the pin 623940. Now I was speaking to Stuart again later on in the week and I've ordered from Stuart the two O-rings that go on either end of the rock shaft, the cap that goes on the left hand end, he's got the caps in, and that is the O-ring is 623579 and the sealing plug for the left hand end of the shaft is 913773. The total bill's 43 quid at the minute. So however, we did order as well, in the gearbox, you have your input shaft coming in from the gearbox, you've got your cardan shaft which goes in through it into the inner plate in the clutch. In between those two shafts there used to be a felt washer, 89333, and it's been superseded by, I think Stuart said, a quad ring, which is a new design of seal that goes into the back of that, the engine input shaft to the gearbox that the cardan shaft fits through. So I've ordered one of them. I'm waiting for that to come. And obviously it's the run up to Christmas now. We're also in the middle of this postal dispute. So it comes when it comes. But the gearbox can't go back in until that arrives, because otherwise the oil will leak along the shaft into your clutch. But also you can't get the muff shaft open sufficiently to get this quad ring in when it's in place. So that's going to go into wherever it fits. I think it fits into the muff shaft. And then your input shaft butts up against one end and your cardan shaft goes through the other way. We'll see when it comes. But the gearbox kind of go in till that comes. So it's just suck it and see, isn't it? Wait until it turns up and we'll see what's going on. So our spring is still here and the pin is still here. The reason for that is Lance, Rod K and Dave Monkhouse have all said, and I think we mentioned this last week, you can't get the rock shaft in with the right hand casting, the selector casting in place on the tractor. And Lance also said the push rods that's inside that control the valve gear through the depth sensor and the cable, to remove those again, well, we'll put the shaft in and mount it on the tractor, because the push rod assembly can get damaged by the rock shaft if you're not careful. So that's why when they turned up, I haven't installed them. I haven't put them back in because it looks like all of that valve gear down the outside's coming back out. We'll take the quadrant casting off the front. We will leave the valve chest fastened to the selector valve, so we don't have to do the reset of the clearances on that. We'll whip that out, string everything up on the engine lift, put it back together, put it back in the tractor. But that isn't going to happen till we can get some painting done. And where the weather is at the minute, God knows when that will be. We just don't know when we're going to be able to get any painting done. Even if I had the space indoors, the steel work is so cold at the minute that we'll probably have to put it in a heated room for about 24 hours to bring it up to temperature, and then have a heated spray booth to put it in. And I just haven't got that. So it's going to have to wait until the weather warms up, which, God, it could be, February, March time. By the time we get some decent weather back in the UK again, we'll see. We'll just wait and see. So, we had a question from Oscar Largo, and it was about his clutch. He's just replaced a clutch and he's 995, and he said it was dual clutch. Now, Oscar, I'm not sure if you mean a clutch with two plates in, or was it a clutch at the front end and a separate clutch in the back of the tractor for your second PTO output. I have sent you a message back, but basically, if you have a workshop manual and you follow the instructions in the workshop manual, and you go back to our videos number 34 and 38 and watch those. 34 tells you how to set the PTO clearances using the three screws that you have to adjust to 70 thou clearance on the clutch diaphragm plate, and this is what gives your PTO clearance to stay engaged while you're operating the primary clutch, but then also to disengage the PTO when the pedal is right at the bottom. So Oscar, I think what I would do is I would start from the clutch pedal clearance. Go back to your clutch pedal. The clutch pedal clearance is 1 to 1.5 inches. Primarily, I think I would reduce that free play to 1 inch. So I would go back there, start there, reset your pedal to 1 inch, check your PTO clearances as described in video 34 and also in your workshop manual if you have one. Right, Oscar, that's one of the manuals. That's one of the manuals that I have. Inside here, there are some very good cross-sectional diagrams of the clutch system. That gives you all the information here on how to reset or set up this clutch mechanism. If this is the clutch that's in your tractor, which is a 2-plate clutch, it's the PTO clutch in the front with the gearbox clutch plate behind it and a separator plate in the middle. But as I say, go to video 34. It shows you in there how to set up the PTO clearance with those 3 PTO clearance screws. And in 38 it details how to set up the clearances on your clutch pedal. So there's a position that you put the pedal into where the cam ring on the pedal contacts the two surfaces of the arm that controls your clutch release lever. At that point you hold the pedal still, you can go down again into the PTO clearance bolts and measure the distances between the PTO clearance bolts end, the tips, and the pressure plate of the clutch, and I think it's got to be between 9 and 12 thou, and it gives you clear instructions in the book as to how to then adjust the eccentric to increase or decrease that gap. So if you haven't got that manual, drop us a line. I've got a PDF. I've got a PDF manual with the same information in. If you drop me a line, I'll email you that PDF manual, and hopefully that'll get you away. Alright, hope it helps. So we've got the gearbox here. As you see, it's had a bath. Let's get out of the sunlight. That's if we can. Get out of the sunlight. A surface rust on here. A surface rust on some of the gearing in here. But other than that, right on the back of the crown wheel, on this surface on the crown wheel, there's some surface rust. But everything other than that looks pretty good. So I don't know, see on the spacer bars here, you can tell it's winter sun. The shadows are horrible today. Look at this, surface rust. So I don't know whether it's actually worth pulling the whole thing to bits, because I say the bearings are good. The bearings, that little noisy here, that's just the play in the teeth in the gears. But the bearings themselves are good. All the gears are good. It's still selected because I had it the other day. Right, so that's our gearbox. So that's a quick look around my gearbox. I say there's some surface rust, and it is just purely surface rust. There's no damage, nothing, and what do you guys think? Do you think I should pull the gearbox to bits and wire brush everything, put it back together? I won't be changing bearings. There's no need to be changing bearings because all the bearings are good in there, no problems at all. And as I say, we set the backlash up the other day. We set the cage clearance up the other day. I'm debating on whether we pull it all to bits. As I say, I think we've got, let us know what you guys want to see, but it could be quite a while because of the weather, and if that's got to come to bits, it's got to come to bits outside. There isn't any room in the garage to do it. There isn't any indoor room to do it. So it's going to have to come to bits outside and go back together outside. Let's know what you think, huh? Right, well, thank you very much for visiting. That's it for this weekly yarn. Very short indeed. But as I say, the weather has got us stopped from doing anything at the moment. We cannot get a lot done at all outdoors. And as I said last week, we are really stuck for painting. We need to get some painting done, try and get things dried off and hardened off, and that hopefully when we get some decent weather will allow us to move forward. Okay, right, so as I say, thank you very much for visiting. As I say, your time is always greatly appreciated. I'm sorry we just haven't got more this week to tell you about. We'll probably only be releasing one more video between now and Christmas unless the weather changes dramatically, because I cannot see we're really getting anything more done between now and Christmas. But for those guys of you that's on subscription feed, you'll get notified if there's something we do that pops out. Alright, so guys, thank you very much. Please, if you like the videos, please give us a thumbs up. Please like and subscribe. Tell your mates. But remember, don't overthink it. It's just nuts and bolts. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye now.